What's good, superstars? Back with another Veve video. You got Superstar Joe. You got Superstar Rob in the house. How's it going, Rob?
Pretty good, you.
That
That
I've been
energy,
practicing my ninja stars.
that energy got me good today.
If you guys are new here, do not forget, smash the subscribe button. Whoops. Over there. It's down there. Hit the subscribe button. Great things are happening to superstars every single day. Become a superstar. Honestly, you're going to go to the library. You're going to check out some books. You're going to go into your wallet, pull out the library card, and they're already going to be scanned. They're going to be in your bag. Free library book checkout. I know it's not the biggest thing, but happens to superstars. Got to always give you guys something new that's happening. And it happens to me all the time when I go to the library, take out books.
Yeah, I went golfing again today. Got another 18 hole in ones.
It's just ridiculous at this point. Also, if you're short on some juju and you want to hit some good things on the drop, become a superstar. Hit a VIP. Hit the join button down below. $2.99 a month. This is the paid subscription service. You get a nice little badge next to your name, one of these ones. You start off common and you work your way up. Every month, every couple months, you get a new badge. It's crazy. The first people to get to the super duper rare, which is 2 years of being a superstar VIP, we're going to make it worth your while. Trust me. Also, the membership, we have giveaways. We've been doing the mini brand unboxing. That's going to be continuing today, and then we'll be giving away to a member. Also, we're going to have some ecomi giveaways, and we've been posting our buys and sells on our membership. And on top of that, there's a new feature. We said we're going to keep bringing the heat, all right? New feature. Rob, why don't you tell them what the new feature is?
So 2 things. First of all, don't forget the spreadsheet. We got the drop spreadsheet, which you can use. And I think now we're going to introduce something different. We want the members to have an opportunity to really benefit, and we want to bring as much utility as we can. So the next thing that we want to bring out is that sometimes you have a really nice mint. I always use different examples. We get the question all the time. We talk about the 1993 T-Rex that was sold after we advertised it, and then
$5,000.
And it was sold for $5,000. So if there's any members out there who are looking to sell a special mint, we will help you get the word out there that you're trying to sell this unique mint to find the right buyer. And this is the next utility that we want to bring to the Superstar VIP. So any of the Superstar VIP members, if you have something listed, something special mint number, 2-digit, even 3-digit, that you need help trying to sell and find the right buyer, we don't mind helping you doing that. We'll put a segment somewhere in the video that anyone can review, and maybe they're interested and they can buy it off
we might just flash it on the screen. So even if you got something you've been trying to move, you're trying to get into some gems, being a VIP, we'll put it on the screen. We'll leave it up there. Say, guys, if you're interested in some of these, and we'll have it there advertised to whoever's watching these videos. They get about 1,000 views a day, so not bad to have more eyes on your items. So being in the VIP will give you that opportunity. I've already made a post about it in the membership page, so go reply to that post if you're interested. Here's our members. You guys are growing every single day. Fantastic. Thank you very much for joining the membership. All right now are common gang, but soon, I think in a month, you guys will become the uncommon gang, which is a really nice star. I like that blue, the double blue.
Beautiful.
If you want to follow us, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter, send us your pictures, send us your videos, practice your signature. You guys know the jazz. On Veve, Fastos number 6909 for 9.9 million. Follow us. We'll follow you back. We'll get you some more followers. And if that has anything to do with MCP, you're going to be happy that you did so. Follow a bunch of our followers as well. And everybody follow everybody just so you're primed for when it matters. We don't got much going on.
We don't have much news, but I think we're gonna have a great video today. I'm excited for this.
Actually, let me show you this. So this is where we post it for the membership. Our advertise your collectible or comic for sale, and we also show what we buy and sell down there. I'm not going to go there for the paid members, but here is our Twitter, and this is Veve's Twitter, and really we're only waiting on one drop. It's on Thursday, and it is the first appearance of Jane Foster as Mighty Thor. Yeah, I don't know if it's first appearance of Jane Foster in general or not, but I don't think so.
Well, it's not on Veve rank yet. We'll let the comic book experts let us know what they think. Is this a Grail comic or not? We'll wait for them to give us some feedback. But I do think that gray cover there looks pretty sick.
This one here. Yeah, you know what? They're all pretty cool, actually. I like the little comic-y one. I like this sketch one. It looks really sick. Even the colored version of that. It's not like it's the same exact cover anymore. It's actually like sketch form in the rare, so it's pretty cool.
Modern day art looks good. The modern day art on the comics look great.
Yeah, I actually don't mind these covers, but we're gonna have to run the spreadsheet when we find out the details.
Yeah.
The other thing we had on our on our Twitter is, I don't know if you guys ever saw this, but Stroker, shout out to Stroker. He made the first ever Superstar Money NFT. I don't know if you remember this, Rob, but
I
this was
remember this. I
a
remember
while
this.
back, and this is on OpenSea, I think.
That was so jokes that he made
So
that.
fantastic! I just want to give a shout out. I think there's some other ones now. I think Randy's got one. I think
No
Taps
way.
might have. Yeah, Taps is in the same collection, but we were first. So we were the first
Wow.
FA YouTube mintable by the
I'm gonna have
Stroker.
to
If
go
you
buy
don't know
that.
now, you know.
I gotta go buy that. How much is it worth? I gotta
I
go
don't
buy
know,
that.
but I think it's still for sale. So you guys, if you want to run, there's your first advertisement. Also, Bravivi Heart, great comment today that I saw. I don't see people arguing about having the star in their bio, so I'll go with that instead of the circle for now.
Let's
Follow the
go.
money, superstar money.
That's it. That's it.
This was
Great.
fantastic. So I replied to him. Look at this reply.
Superstar VIP Braveheart. I love it. I love
I
it.
said, this is absolutely epic. And I said, at Ecomi, at Veve, if you want stars in your name, we'll allow it. So
Yeah.
if you're watching Ecomi, Veve, no problem. Put the stars there, and we'll give you a shout out maybe next video.
That's an OG. He's an OG superstar. I think he was with us back at 50 subs. So huge shout out. Thanks for that.
Yeah. So there you go. It's fantastic the what that community is doing. So I don't got anything else. You want to go into the main topic of the video?
Yeah, let's talk about it. This is gonna be a real cool video because
So
go ahead, set it up.
The video title is basically when's the best time to buy on Veve? And me and Rob were thinking about it, and we divided it into 4 categories of timing because you can't necessarily say there's one particular best time to buy because nobody knows. Nobody's gonna know the best time, and it's all dependent on people's strategies, etc. So I think you have something prepared for the first one. So let's talk macroeconomic. I'll basically go through these points and then pull up your stuff there. But basically, right now we know that the macro trend is negative. People are selling off speculative assets and things that aren't very important in their life to put it into things that are important, like food and gas and shelter, right? The other thing that Rob's going to show you here is we got to use history to help us decide timelines when it comes to macro. So this is like when you're thinking of putting in basically your major investing money or whatever like that. Like if you're thinking long term, I'm going to be in this project long term. You got to look at long term trends. So that's also
like this. I just want to add one thing, Joel, here quickly is that we're breaking this down because making a decision is not black and white. It's a complex system. It's everything is dynamic in nature. There's things constantly changing. So when you make a decision based on the Veve market, let's say, or any other market for that matter, there's all these things going on. So that's why when you mention using history, we can learn from other markets in terms of what happened and how long did things take. And if we know how long things took from history, maybe we can kind of get a rough idea of how it will happen again and what we care about. But there's never any guarantees. It helps to make that decision, though.
Yeah, and in general, we like to talk about all 4 of these in our videos. We make video titles based off of all 4, and when we talk about each one of them, it's usually a different sentiment depending on where we are in that time frame. So if we're talking macroeconomic, it may seem like a more negative video title, but we like to be real with you guys and let you know what we see happening, how much money is in the app. Like these are big profile picture, looking at the big picture, but there are opportunities in the short term, in the near term. We'll get into them as you see the other colors here. But in the meantime, Rob's going to talk to you a little bit more about macroeconomic and maybe a very reliable comparable or something you can look at.
Yeah, again, like we said, we're going to use history to help us. So the first one, trend is negative. We talked about that in previous videos. We'll continue to track the recession watch. We'll continue to see a lot of the decentralized finance investments a lot of them have gone bankrupt. So there's things going around in the world right now where, it's helping that trend be negative. And it's NFTs right now, they're babies compared to crypto, right? So if you take a look over here, you got to remember the crypto space right now is dominated by Bitcoin. Like Bitcoin is like the mother and everything seems to work around it. It was the first, it's the OG, but we can learn from the price history of Bitcoin. If you take a look at this chart, it feels time flies, eh? It really does. If you go back, I remember learning about Bitcoin first in 2012, and I said, why would anybody ever want digital money? But you can see that there's been many cycles that have happened on Bitcoin. And if you really break this down, you take a look at Bitcoin back in 2014 era. Look how long it took to bounce back. It took until 2017. It took years. And we all remember the crypto winter back. The bubble burst around. This is 2018, but I vaguely remember it. Yeah, I remember being around 2018 personally. And then it did take a couple of years until we reached that new high. So that's why when people talk about when is Veve gonna pump, if you're in it for the long term and you're trying to make a decision whether to buy or not, you can buy when you feel prepared and ready.
Yeah.
Just keep in mind, we got to have realistic expectations of when we will have a return to the all-time highs. The pump can happen at any time. We don't know when. But if you look at a Bitcoin chart, sometimes it can take years. We may be doing these videos for years before we finally have a chance to enjoy the fruits of our patience of just waiting for that to come. So keep that in mind. So using Bitcoin as a comparable, and based on the macroeconomics right now, you can see Bitcoin just dropped from 68 to 28. I think it may go under 20, whatever. I don't even know what it's at right now. But we might have to wait a little bit longer for Bitcoin to improve. Usually the appetite for NFTs follow the appetite for Bitcoin. We'll see if that continues, but that's my thoughts on that one.
So I want to keep this screen up. I want to just mention that the all-time highs in Veve are kind of cloudy as well, because we do know that there was bot manipulation, and we do know that there was a gem scandal built into that. So our true highs may not be anywhere close to what we saw in January. So we got to keep in mind that we might not reach our true highs for a couple years as well. It might not be. The other thing, though, is the supply of Bitcoin versus the supply of these NFTs. Depending on what we're talking about, there's not a lot of listings out there. We could see a little bit of a quicker recovery. But for that to happen, you still need to have money coming into this app. The number of mints that exist for these collectibles doesn't change, which is a good thing. Like, it doesn't go up. So whatever's listed, people might take profits. People have to have the expendable income coming into the app for the entire market to have a sustained pump above all-time true highs, which we don't know. What's the all-time true high on Walt? Maybe it's actually like 15, 20K, not really the 50K that we were seeing, right? With built-in gems from all these other things that were happening. But end of the day, the long-term trends, like Rob is showing here, they take time to recover. They don't always immediately jump up. We saw a pump a couple weeks ago, and look where we are. We're almost back down to where we were. I don't think we're quite there yet. I think some of the comics or whatever are hanging out a little bit, but they usually follow. The collectibles usually are the more volatile immediate. You can kind of get that idea. You watch the collectibles go up and down, the grails, and then everything else just kind of follows them. It's almost like Bitcoin's the leader in the space, and the Todds and the Waltz are the leaders in the collectibles.
So I think it's almost like a checklist. If you want to bring your spreadsheet back up.
Yeah. So actually, I had one more thing for the macro, which I just wanted to show. Actually, it's not looking too bad. I just did a quick look at Pudding Cheeks' sheet, and we're noticing that gems in app did go up slightly, and we did have a drop today. It was a comic drop, so it's nothing crazy. Not a lot of gems, at only 20,000 mints as well, so less things to be purchased from the store. But we are seeing a little bit of an uptrend still. I still need a little bit more. I want to see actual trend change on this chart here, this blue line. Once I see kind of a little bit of an increase, then maybe I'll start to look a little bit more seriously. But I wanted to make sure that we showed this when we were talking macro, because when we do talk a little bit more negative in the title, it's usually macro related.
And you could check out our video, by the way, where we showed how that spreadsheet's built. That's tracking the inflow of money into Veve. That's going to be really important to see price appreciation. Yeah. So that's a really important point.
Pudding Cheeks only updates it once a day. So if you really want to have an advantage, a competitive advantage over other people buying in the market who rely on that spreadsheet, doing the work, following that tutorial, just make sure that you have the timing right, because I think we used the wrong timing in that. But make sure you're on the right time zone.
It's GMT, it's GMT. Yeah. And then, are you about to move on from macro? There's one more.
No, go ahead.
The one more thing that I want to point is that it's almost like a checklist for a long-term investor, where if you have a lot of money that you want to put into the app, you want to buy a lot of NFTs at one point, based on the macroeconomic condition, you may choose to actually hold off for a better time, backed by new money coming to that. You might miss out, though, on some gains. We don't really know how long this is going to last. We don't really know if you want to get the most for your money, and some people just want to buy it, which is fine. But if you put it all in at once, you may you may not take advantage of it. You might be better off going to the next point, which now you can go ahead with.
So exactly, like you said, macro, we're looking, if we're going to put in a large sum of money, like Rob and I considered at times, we want to have all the boxes checked. And one of those boxes would be positive trend. We want to see recovery of the market. We want to have good outlook in the economy, and kind of see that rebound and hear positive thoughts on TV. Like that's the things you want to follow. Right now, there's only negative. Like you want the sentiment to be changed, kind of. So that is important for the macro.
And by the way, we use data, not TV, but a lot of people do follow what they hear
I'm just
on TV.
saying that's an indicator of what's happening.
Agreed.
Right? Like people talking about it.
Sentiment.
DCA is dollar cost averaging, and this is a very tried and true. It's a strategy that a lot of people use, and kind of I'm using it tied to my low mint strategy. It's more of things I know I want to hold long term, and I'm kind of just watching them, making sure, like if there's a super deal, I'm going to buy it. That's the things. If you're in my membership, you see what I buy and what I sell. I've done a lot of selling over the last few days. I know that we're getting into that Comic-Con, but I also have no gems because I've used them to get into other positions that I think will do well long term. But dollar cost averaging is more of a regular input of cash on regular, like you almost track it you almost be like, okay, I'm going to put in money every single week or every single month, and I'm going to buy X, like say 500 gems worth of things. And you do it that way. This way, if the market is up 1 month and then 1 month it's down, you kind of lie in the middle with your gem investment. It takes commitment to make sure that you stay on track, because if you miss a month, you might miss the high month, and then everything you buy it can drop, right?
Yeah,
Sorry, you might miss the low month where everything's the lowest and you missed it. It also gives you an average, and it's something that a lot of investors use in other markets, not just Veve.
Yeah, so I think it's a really important point because it came up a bunch of times. Shout out Superstar Rob Stuff who mentioned it in the comments many times. We don't disagree with him at all. Dollar cost averaging, again, I use it for my retirement fund. The only thing that I'm going to point out is two things. Number one, at the end of the day, this is still a speculative investment. So, I mean, if you're going to buy in hopes that you can profit with price appreciation, unless you're treating it like a true collector and you're just collecting this stuff. But if you're trying to profit in the long term, just remember that like this isn't the stock market. You're not dealing with like productive companies, right? So you got to just remember that the money you put in, stay within your limits. Obviously, this isn't financial advice. But the second thing is the only time I've seen dollar cost averaging work is like a real commitment. Like you need to plan it out. You can't do things on the fly. Okay. If you want to be successful at dollar cost averaging, you need to sit down. You got to understand your finances. You got to know exactly how much you make, what your expenses are, what you have available, how much you want to put into the app, and you have to commit. And you got to do it at whatever interval you said. You could do it. It could be once a month, like you said, or it could be once a week. It could even be every day. Whatever you want. The point is you got to commit, and you'll never know where the bottom or the top is. So as long as you're buying all the time, you're always going to be averaging out and covering your bases. So that's another strategy if you choose to take that.
And like Rob said, this whole thing could go to zero, so it's not financial advice, because if it does go to zero, your average is going to go to zero eventually if you keep buying.
It's a great strategy, though. Like I said, I use it for my retirement funds, and in the end, especially with the stock market, there's a lot of great benefits to doing that kind of strategy.
Okay, so those are kind of that. We got to the macro. We talked about like super long term. We got dollar cost averaging, where we're going to invest during the entire stretch long term, where trends don't necessarily matter as much to us. In Veve, it's speculative. Rob's stuff makes a great point that there's not a lot of listings. This thing could take off at any point. It's more that we want to make sure it's not whale manipulation that is occurring to cause a semi pump, and then we just fall right back down to where we were. We're not quite there yet, but everything is hinting that it should keep going towards where we were, unless more whales are buying in,
which we're not surprised about, because the Put-in Cheeks spreadsheet didn't back that pump with real new money.
Yeah, but now we're starting to see a little bit of a turn. But is it the time? Not sure yet. I'm not convinced yet. Short term is a different type of investing strategy, and this is maybe the opportunity that people see right now. I put the word hype there because this is almost like a trading, like day trader strategy, right? You get a new drop. It's nice and shiny. Everyone's talking about it. You got YouTube videos from 25 creators on it. You got people talking about why this comic's amazing, first appearance of whoever, and then you forget who they are in a couple weeks.
Spider Girl.
Yeah, Spider Girl. I never heard of her again in quite some time. But trade. I know some people in the comments might not be too happy with that. But this is like a trader strategy. Okay, so it's short term, and this is where you kind of play off of the hype. You see the drop come out, you're like, okay, maybe you're at your best bet, and Vader was a perfect example. Vader had huge hype, and Vader's actually hung in there. I'm going to give it to him. The thing is, it was a grail released. You got to look at when it was released. It's released in the bottom of a market, not much lower to go, and people are going to keep buying it up to compare it to other grails on the app. So might be an outlier, but I'm going to use it as an example for the drop day where I knew that this had huge hype behind it. So I said, listen, I had a stack of gems. I'm going to go in and buy low mints of this and immediately flip them for gems, because I know that if I can buy one of the lowest and flip it for average price, it's probably going to go in and one within 5 minutes. It's the most gems I've ever made in such a short amount of time. So that was an example of taking advantage of a drop. But there's also these other examples for short-term hype, where some of these comics come out and people are talking about them, but they might not be like the greatest comics in real life. Maybe the last couple comics that we've seen get dropped, like this Thor #1. I don't know too much about it, but if it gets dropped, there's a lot of hype around it. Maybe you buy it and you sell it right away. If you were to land one of the more rare versions, maybe you go into the secondary market and you buy up some of the lower mints, because there's opportunity there, because maybe people are just dumping everything that's not rare or above, or so you have an opportunity at mints. And like this is basically the quick day trader strategy, and there's a bunch of different things. Or you wait a couple weeks when the luster dies off and you pick up something for much cheaper. An example of that would be the Stitch drop. When Stitch dropped, it was a lot of hype, and it just kind of started slowly going down, that secret rare. So yeah. I don't know. You got anything to add there, Rob?
I think you pretty much covered it all. Like I think if I am going to add anything, it's going to be, I would say your odds of success on this one is dependent on the drop. So know that if you're doing a low quality drop, and like not a bash to anything, but Veve has lots of premium IP, but there are some things that just most people they're just less interested in. Like there's the users on the app might be more interested on, let's say, a Disney IP than they would an artist IP. Right. Yeah. So depending on the drop, you have a higher odds of actually doing that buy fast, flip fast. It works. If you get in quick, you pick up something, like you said, like a low mint, for example, or a special mint number, and you flip it right away and you take advantage of that hype. We've seen it work. We know it can work, but it may not necessarily work as you hope. So there's still a risk in doing that. Anytime you do a short-term thing playing on the hype, you might be stuck with the bag, we'll call it, right? You might be stuck with the collectible, and you might be forced to sell it at the floor, which is not what you initially wanted to do. But otherwise, I think you covered all of it. Just be careful on which ones you choose to do this on. I wouldn't just do it to all of them.
Yeah, I like what you mentioned there. I think mint numbers available is a big thing too. We noticed that there's certain times after a drop when things get delivered. So if you're buying when there are the most amount of mints in the marketplace and then selling when there's much less mints, that might be a good strategy to see value or make some money on things, because when there's the most supply and it's on the same day that there's the same amount of demand, maybe buying when there's the most supply and selling when there's a little bit less supply later in the day, that could be a thing. But market sentiment, like I mentioned with the Stitch drop, showed that over time, if you didn't hit it on the drop, secret rare, it made more sense to wait it out and buy it a couple weeks later. You got to kind of read the market. That's why I wrote sentiment in there as Rob was talking.
It's never easy to read a market. Sometimes if you win a drop, maybe the best time to sell it, if you get an early deliveries, to sell it right away, because as more and more people get it, they start undercutting themselves. But there always seems to be an inflection point somewhere along the line. If you notice, a drop day is crazy, right? Like there always seems to be some inflection point where another pump will come, buyers start taking over, and then there's another dump. So it's something that, it's something that, like, it's hard. It's not easy to do it at your own risk. Just keep in mind that there is opportunity available. You can give it a try, but just be careful.
Take the next one. Take the next one.
Okay, micro time a day. This one here, we did a video. I remember I thought it was a great video a long time ago on auctions. Right, we explained when you can properly use an auction, and usually we did it with like very unique mints, Now what's even better is you don't even have to go to the auction. You can become a superstar VIP. You can let us know what your special mint is, and we will help advertise it for you. But otherwise, if you have a very special mint, I remember we had a comment once saying, how do I get rid of this? You can always put it on an auction if you need to get out fast and get some kind of value that maybe if you put a price that you think it's worth, it might never sell. So time of day is really important. Like, we know that if you're going to do an auction, you want to do it at a time where you're going to get the most eyes. You want it to end, I would say, since the US is the main time area where the most users on Veve are awake, or maybe after dinner, right? You want your auction to be timed in such a way that it ends so that people in the US, North America, are able to buy it right at the end in the last minute when everybody dives in and tries to beat everybody else. So that's important. But on the flip side, when you can buy on an auction, or in general in the secondary market, is you can do it at night when there's less users on the app, when everyone's sleeping, when you might get an opportunity to snipe, or you might get an opportunity to buy an auction where you're just competing against less people. There's a lot of opportunity in the auction space, and there's also a lot of opportunity, I think, at night snipes to find, someone just lists a little bit lower. They want to get out fast. They want to get the gems. There's less eyes on it, and you come in and you take it up. So that's like a very, very, from macroeconomic, going back to the microeconomic, even to the level of time of day, it could even matter in terms of being successful if you are trying to profit or at least get the best deal at that time that you can get.
Yeah, and it's just exactly like Rob said. It's better to sell when everyone's awake and buy when nobody's awake. So that also helps you. The reason that you're buying at night or buying even the secondary market at night snipe, somebody might be having a strategy where they're like, I want to buy this thing at night, and it might take you longer to sell something at night. So that's why you might have a better opportunity looking for something. So basically, this entire chart shows you from a long-term perspective up until a short-term perspective. It also gives us a little bit of strategy based off of hype and time of day, dollar cost averaging. We just tried to give you a couple of ways to make time work in your favor, and how we would play it if we were doing any of these strategies. And we are using all of them. It's just a matter of how we do it. Like, I would say even going for every comic drop is almost dollar cost averaging. You're putting in that $7 every couple days. You never know what you're going to end up with, but you're still consistently putting the money in at a consistent rate. Right now, it might not be the best time because everything's going for lower, but in January, it was amazing time. You put it in, you were making money. So if you're on average doing all the drops, at the end, it might work out for you. Who knows? So I think that was pretty good summary.
Yeah, I think so too. Let us know what you guys think below. We would love to hear from you. Like, obviously, none of this is financial advice, but this is this is our thought process when we're making decisions on whether or not we should enter into the market, if we're trying to try to do a flip, if we're going to try to do a snipe, or we're trying to invest for the long term. Whatever it ends up being, let us know below what you guys do. Give us some new ideas in terms of if you had to add a column to that chart, what would you add? We would love to hear from that. And Joe, why don't you show us what you got over there?
So we're going to go with another Disney mini brand. This is going to be members only giveaway. Once we open 5 of them, we'll do a giveaway, or maybe 10, and then you can pick 5. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But what do we got here? And I think I know some people who might actually really want this one. I've heard a lot of talks of people calling for this on Veve. We got the Tinkerbell.
Tinkerbell. I love Tinkerbell.
I know Superstar Kate and Superstar Mel will be all over this, but
yeah. But we're giving.
I know there's people who want a Tinkerbell. That one actually looks pretty sweet. I like it better than the one from yesterday.
That looks great. Yeah, look at it.
Yeah.
Look at it.
And she's got her little box there,
Yeah, I like it.
So,
very nice.
Little Tinkerbell packaging. It's really cool. So we got Bo Peep and we got Tinkerbell. 2 nice. Disney ladies.
All right, we're starting off with 2 Disney ladies. That's good.
So I think what I think we'll do. I think we'll open up 10 and then we'll do a draw, and that winner can pick 5 out of the 10 because maybe they won't want certain ones, and you can kind of customize what you want.
Good idea.
But I think that's a good one so far. I think that's all I got, Rob.
Yeah, that's it. So again, let us know what you guys think. We always want to hear from you. Tell us what you think about the video. Give us some new ideas in terms of what you do before you choose to enter position. Do you think of these things like we said, dollar cost averaging? Do you do it? Do you think about the macro? Do you do the time of day trading? Do you do these things? Let us know what you do. Do you do the snipes after the drop? Play the hype. And of course, don't forget, become a superstar. Smash the subscribe button. We respond to every single comment, whether you agree with us or not. We want to hear from you. And now you can become a Superstar VIP as well. We are so thankful for the people who have already joined, for all the Superstars that have joined. Again, you got the spreadsheet, you got the advertisement, we got the giveaways going now. We want to do more with Omi. We are trying to do everything we can to bring value to the Superstar VIPs because we appreciate you and we thank you for joining our membership. So I don't know. Is that it, Joe? Is there anything else you have to add?
That's it.
Okay, we'll see you on the next one. Take care.
Love you. Bye.
Bye-bye.